shove right there, kind of throws a little elbow at him, and Jokic didn't like it much, and got in there, Collins and Turner.
A few moments later.
So the Nuggets with the ball, and there goes Jokic to the hole, and he'll score with the left hand.
Tired here in this fourth quarter as Murray misses a three. Jokic just bullies his way in.
19 rebounds, ties a Nuggets NBA playoff record.
94, May 7. What a significant moment that was. His part.
After that incident with Myers Leonard, Jokic suddenly went off and showed that he's not the guy you want to mess with, as he dropped 25 and 19 on the entire Blazers team, for the simple reason that he got pissed off. See, here's the thing. While the Joker is pretty much Mr. Nice Guy most of the time, he can quickly turn into a monster if you make him angry. And trust me guys, unleashing angry Jokic is the last thing that you would want to do. I mean, take a look at what Rudy Gobert did right here. Basically, Gobert was mocking Jokic whenever he drew fouls in that particular clip. And obviously, that didn't sit well with the Joker. So he returned the favor by torturing him for the rest of the game. When the game ended, the Joker had a double-double of 28 points and 10 rebounds to carry the Nuggets to a 106-100 win, all because Gobert was trying to be funny. And after beating them in the playoffs that year, Jokic seemed to be far from done with the Stifle Tower as he continued to put a large target on his back in the following season. In their very first head-to-head matchup in the 2020-21 season, Jokic destroyed Gobert and the rest of the Jazz by scoring 22 points in the first quarter to end up with 47 points by the end of the game. And on top of that, he also added 12 rebounds and 5 assists to rub it in Gobert's face even more. I mean, it doesn't really matter how many Defensive Player of the Year trophies Gobert had, because there's just no way of stopping the Joker if you pissed him off that badly. Anyways, here's another trash talk gone wrong story featuring Russell Westbrook. See, in a matchup some years ago against the Thunder, you can see here that the game was already over with the Nuggets up big with just a little amount of time left on the clock. But out of nowhere, things suddenly got chippy. Jokic clearly didn't like what Westbrook did, so he jumped and let his feelings be known, which is a normal thing to do when a player defends his teammate. Now, the two kept exchanging words afterward, and I'm not a good lip reader, but I think Brody stepped over the line when he said this.
Brooks start jawing.
Again, not a professional lip reader here, but based on that clip, I think we can all agree that Westbrook wasn't talking about rainbows and unicorns when he opened his mouth. So anyways, Jokic didn't forget what Westbrook had said that night, and when they faced off again in their next matchup, the Joker had his payback. I mean, he hits nothing but net with this three-pointer, while Brody was literally face guarding him. And in the next quarter, just check out how he bullied Aquaman in this play. Man, we all know that Steven Adams is arguably the strongest dude in the league. But what's crazy is that Jokic just cooked him like barbecue chicken out there. And aside from that, he was hitting threes left and right as if he got his three-point sliders maxed out. When the final buzzer sounded off, Jokic absolutely owned Westbrook by flirting with a triple-double of 36 points and 10 assists, together with 9 rebounds. And I think from that point on, Westbrook has learned to zip his mouth whenever the Joker is lurking around. Anyway, here's another guy that tried to mess with a Joker, but eventually backfired big time. When the Nuggets visited the Lakers at Staples Center in 2018, the game was basically over, with the Lakers leading by 9, but as the fans started to leave the arena, well, apparently Randle gave Jokic a friendly nudge, as old folks would call it, but as expected, Jokic didn't take it lightly at all, and a few moments later, Jokic clearly wasn't happy with Randle's behavior in the late game, and so, just like his previous victims, the Joker marked his prey and vowed revenge whenever he'd see this dude next time on the court. Randle eventually signed with the Knicks in 2019, but despite that, Jokic still remembers what he did to him 2 seasons ago, and so here's what happened. Jokic had 22 and 10 in that game as he led the Nuggets to a blowout win, 114-89. Now, if you thought Jokic was done punishing Randle, well, you're absolutely wrong. See, we all know that the Joker doesn't have hops just like the other athletic bigs, and we rarely see him dunk in a game. However, that was not the case when Jokic met Randle in the next game of that season, because it seemed like Randle had unleashed the Vince Carter in him. After having a mini dunk fest, Jokic continued his rampage and even stole the ball away from Randle with this play right here. When it was all said and done, Jokic had another solid revenge game as he anchored the Nuggets to another blowout win against the Knicks, and this time around, he had 32 points together with 12 rebounds and 6 assists to let Julius Randle know that he messed with the wrong dude. Now, just like Randle, Markieff Morris is another guy who often bites off more than he can chew, and in this particular play, he tried playing with fire when he did this. Okay, at this point, Morris must have realized that he shouldn't have done that, cause as the saying goes, if you mess with the bull, you definitely get the horns. Well, it appears that Morris picked on the wrong guy, as Jokic is not the type of player who will just take it lying down without returning the receipt. Anyway, things went wild after that, and as if one enemy wasn't enough, Jimmy Butler also joined the party by lighting the fire even more, saying,
"Oh, there is bad blood brewing."
True enough, Butler really did bring his crew in the back, as shown in the picture right here, as they waited for the Nuggets players to step out of their locker room. Meanwhile, Jokic's brothers also got involved in the crossfire by engaging in a Twitter war with Markieff's twin brother Marcus. While there are a lot of things going on in the background, Jokic set his sights on the court for revenge the next time he came to Miami. And although nothing really happened in that game, Jokic got his payback by leading his team to a big W. Once again, he almost had another triple-double with 24, 15, and 7, and this just proves that Jokic will definitely strike back if you pissed him off, as Morris did. Now, moving on, this next one has Gary Payton II trying to mess with the Joker during last year's playoffs, which all began with this play. After going for an offensive rebound, GP2 timed Jokic perfectly and swatted away his shot before giving that "I got you" stare at Jokic for good measure. Now, moments after that, the Nuggets called a timeout to settle things up, but when both teams were already heading back to their respective benches, GP2 would trigger the whole thing by doing this. To me, that was just an acknowledgement tap from GP2. However, it was obvious that Jokic viewed it differently. After the incident, the Joker seemed to be mad at GP2, and from then on, he just let his frustrations out by wrecking and bullying anyone who stood in his path. And despite how good of a defender he is, Draymond couldn't do anything to stop the angry Joker. Before the slapping incident, Jokic was averaging just below 26 a ball game, but check out his numbers after Game 3. Though they didn't win the series, Jokic was in beast mode the next 3 games, and what's scary and funny at the same time was that it all just started from a seemingly harmless butt slap. Anyways guys, speaking of being scary and funny, Jokic suddenly reminds me of Dwight Howard. You know, a big fella who loves to joke around off the court and has temper issues when pushed to the limit. So one fine day, when these two collided in the Lakers-Nuggets matchup inside the bubble, I expected things to get heated quickly between them because of their similar personalities, and in Game 3, the two eventually crossed paths and got tangled up with one another literally. After scrambling for a loose ball, Dwight shoved Jokic, and after that, Dwight began chirping at the Joker to get into his head. Well, as it turned out, Dwight played well against Jokic in that series, and the Lakers eventually eliminated the Nuggets in 5 games. Though the Lakers owned the Nuggets in that series, Jokic would have the last laugh by making a fool out of Dwight in the following season with this nasty play.
Now Jokic trying to get the 3rd foul on Howard. He's got him. The pull.
Man, Jokic just forced Dwight to wear his dancing shoes right there.